everyone. Please allow me to start with some prayers. Tusum Sanjay Tam Tiching or Ritan Chokor Jamsa Chabdak. Drinjan Sawe Lama Shabdur Dreama Mepala Gosam Rabdu Gave Gone Cha Sarshin Chapso Nevarji. Dzogchen Zimjin Tam Jiji Jumin Jingjo or Jinji Love so. Lama Dong Control Rinpoche Namba Sumji Doso Zimjin Tam Jiji. No chuzo jor jinji lab do sor, chulam do jor jinji lab do sor, lam truba sor jinji lab do sor, truba yeshe su charwar jinji lab do sor. Nama arya lai kedan ledan nejin ke, jurmum datami kenan dan, jua kunje jage je sambar, tam je ke do dagi je ten do, simche nam je sambadang, lo ye chera jitawar, chechon tomon tabai. Jiji korlo kordo soro chasarawadan jijin shapadan jesu yirang korjin sawai. Gewa chungse dagi jisapatam jisobe chanju chembor. How are you? I was going to start today by saying welcome to the entertainment portion of your daily schedule. But then two things happened. First, I arrived a little bit early before lunch and was up there in the gallery to catch the last part of Lama Surya's talk this morning. And I found it much more entertaining than anything I'm likely to say. That's number one. And number two is I found out that most of you are relatively experienced practitioners. And so you're no longer suffering from the delusion that the time when you get to look at and listen to somebody else is somehow a break from your job during the retreat, which is just to be here. It's all just part of being here and not finding something else to do. Just being with whatever you're doing, whether someone's talking or you're walking or eating or having quiet time. So since you know that already, I can't fool you by saying any one part of the day is more interesting or important than any other part. So I thought instead where I would start this time is by talking about one of the recitations that I just did in Tibetan, which is popularly known as the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa or 4 Dharmas of Longchenpa. From the perspectives of the Kagyu and Nyingma lineages, respectively, but they're the same 4 dharmas. Dakpo Chushi, Longchen Chushi. And dharma is a word, it's a Sanskrit word, poorly pronounced by me. Dharma is closer to the true pronunciation. It's a word that has many different meanings, many different values, different contexts. And in this context, when we say the 4 dharmas, it means something like the 4 overarching principles or statements. Statements about what? Statements about what the spiritual path consists of in its entirety. It's like they are statements as a group that describe the entire arc or trajectory of the path of training in Buddha Dharma. Where it starts, where it leads you to, and where you arrive at. So they are statements of authentic and effective spiritual values and practices. Authentic and effective in what sense? In the sense that, on the one hand, they embody certain truths, pragmatic and experiential truths, and they serve as guideposts to lead you through your practice to the realization of those truths. The first of these 4 dharmas, the first of these principles, we can translate roughly as, stated as an aspiration, may my mind move towards the Dharma. May my mind move towards the Dharma. So the first part of that is, may my mind. Well, again, that's a rough translation of something. In Tibetan, there are many, many words which can be translated roughly as mind, like sem, lo, rik, yid, shepa, namshe, yeshe, gongpa, many. The one that's specifically meant here is lo. And lo means that feature or operation of your mind which turns its attention to something or develops a strong, preoccupying interest in something, something you turn your attention to and focus it upon. Like when we say, I have a mind to practice meditation today. Or when your parents might have said to you, mind your manners, that kind of mind. See, the first joke didn't go over at all. Okay. So may I develop a strong interest and intention to engage in something called Dharma. Well, here, Dharma is not just that sense of a principle or statement, like when we talk about the four Dharmas as a group. Here, may my mind move towards the Dharma. The Dharma means the actual practices, reflections, types of conduct that result in an evolution, a transformation, a development, a reorientation, refinement, recalibration, improvement of my being. That's what we're calling spiritual practice. So may I develop a powerful interest in and intention to devote my life to a path of spiritual development. That's the first Dharma. What does that require? Well, when we first conceive of such an idea or intention that there has to be something deeper or more worthwhile or true to devote our lives to, when we look around, we see or can feel that we're starting off from somewhere that is very stuck, that we don't know where to begin, or we feel that we are in a world where a kind of spiritual practice or engagement doesn't have much place. In a very cold and hostile world where people's minds often seem to be going in the other direction, how do we actually devote our lives in any serious way to true improvement, to genuine transformation of our being? So the first reflection that is required in order to see what the starting point is to look at our own actual life circumstances, our situation. And you all exemplify the fact that we have the necessary leisure, resources, opportunities, space in our lives to turn our attention to something beyond mere survival or coping or dealing with our lives. You exemplify this because you're sitting here on a retreat. So you both had the opportunity to take that time out from your lives to focus in on this and made the decision to do it. But on an even deeper level, we can reflect upon the fact that we have the opportunity for development, for transformation, by virtue of the fact that we are the beings that we are. We are beings that have mind that is not just a kind of mechanistic, response to conditions and phenomena like a leaf blowing in the wind or a sunflower turning to the sun. But mind that by its very nature not only experiences objects through the senses, objects of thought, emotions, but in that very moment knows in itself that that experience is occurring. So all mental experience is at the same time self-knowing, or put it differently in Dzogchen terminology, awareness pervades and permeates all experience. It is an ineluctable core or element of all experience, and therefore awareness is always available to us to look at what is happening in us, around us, seemingly to us, and see it differently, or treat it differently, or respond to it differently. So that potential to not just continue in the same way we've been acting and thinking until now, but to do it differently and better, is what we call, in the local dialect, Buddha nature, the potential to awaken. So we have that potential, we have that capacity. So fundamentally, coming back to where we started, fundamentally, we are not really stuck. We are not really stuck. We can transform, we can change, we can improve. So now we can agree, I hope, that the potential is there to change, to devote ourselves to a deeper understanding or set of values in life. But then again, looking at our lives, we can feel that though the potential is there, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of routines, bad habits, destructive patterns, lifestyles, both in terms of our outward behavior and in terms of the thought patterns that repeatedly race around in our minds and the emotional patterns that seem to leave us in the same place over and over again, despite our best efforts to be somewhere else.